Alright, so we've seen it all, right? We've seen killer tier lists, we've seen survivor perks tier lists, but interestingly enough, I've never seen a tier list based on the randoms you get. Like the random Megs on average, or the random Dwights on average. So I figured I'd make a list on that because I have a hell of a lot of experience with solo queue and randoms. So I can safely say that this list will be 100% accurate with absolutely no flaws whatsoever. Man, that fucking ad feels real personal for some reason. Alright, so we're gonna make this list. First, shit, I gotta rearrange this shit. Alright, so originally, there were only 5 tiers, but I did add a 5th one. I added the F tier because there is definitely a worst random you could get. And I think some of you have an idea of what it could be, but you'd be surprised. My answer is not that. It's not one of the default characters. It's actually Jill. Jill is probably the worst random you could ever get, especially if they have a default skin. They're fucking awful. They hardly do gens. They usually bring urban evasion. They will never take a hit for you ever. They're the least altruistic people. They spend most of their games hiding. They don't want to help you at all. Like, if you want to play hide and seek, why don't you just fucking call your friends and hide in your fucking house? Like, I don't understand the point of playing a team-based game and not helping your fucking team get away. So Jills, if you ever see a Jill in your lobby, especially a default skin, just leave. Just leave. You'll avoid all the stress, all the annoying shit. Just get out. Unfortunately, I gotta put Rebecca in the F tier too. I don't know what it is about Rebecca's, but actually I do know what it is. It's new characters, you know, new characters, new players coming in for Resident Evil. That also explains why Jill is also really bad, because there's a lot of newer players that play Resident Evil that got Dead by Daylight for Resident Evil characters, and now they're getting into the game and they're really bad. But Jill's and Rebecca's absolutely garbage. In fact, I'd say Rebecca's are probably better than Jill's, so we're gonna put her back here. Jill's definitely the worst, but Rebecca, Jill, by far the worst. I do want to do this in an order. So like from left, or from right to left is worst to best, so the more further you are to the right, the worse you are. But when I'm dragging them in, I'm not going to know exactly where they're going to be placed, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to drag all the characters that I think are in a specific tier, and then when I'm done, I'm going to rearrange it. So next up in the D tier, we got Kate. Now, I don't know what's wrong with Kate's. They're just, for me, it feels like they're kind of like the non-Resident Evil versions of Jill. Like, always have urban, like, I've seen so many Kates with urban evasion. It's unbelievable. They always bring that shit without fail. They can't really hold chase. I think where they shine the best is probably with generators, because that's probably all they're good for. Kates suck. I really despise having a Kate on my team, although they're not the absolute worst, but they're pretty bad. Alright, next up, you gotta put Meg in here, unfortunately. Meg suffers from being one of the first characters you have when you get the game, and she has really good perks. So a lot of people getting into the game are gonna, you know, they're gonna look like, oh, okay, which character should I use? Alright, it looks like Meg has good perks, so we'll use her. So she suffers from newer player syndrome, and that's why you don't really see a lot of good Megs. So yeah, that's really it. It's just a lot of newer players, and for the most part, you don't, like, when you're good, you just don't really play Meg, you know? When you're good at the game, you just get off of Meg. It's just like an unspoken rule. Alright, so next up we got Jake. Now, Jake suffers from the same shit that Meg suffers from. He's an easy access character, you get him right away, so you have a lot of newer players playing him, and they normally don't do that well. Now, personally, I've seen way better Jakes than I have seen, like, the best Meg I've ever seen isn't close to the best Jake. At least in my experience. So definitely not the worst out of the 4 easy access characters, but definitely he's down there. He's not really that good. They can't hold chase. They don't really take hits for you. They're scared. They're petrified. They're new. At the very least, I do see Jake's doing gens, so we'll give him that. Alright, next up, definitely gotta put Bill here. It used to be a lot worse. Bill used to be considered like one of the best survivors, specifically because his 2 perks were very meta. They were extremely meta back in the day. Unbreakable and Borrow Time. So you would have a lot of newer players trying to get into Dead by Daylight, you know, and these typically these newer players are past Meg, they're past the Jake phase, right? Like they're trying to get better instead of just getting into the game. So a lot of people would look up who's the best survivor, and you know, typically back then it used to be Bill for his perks. It also used to be Lori because of Decisive Strike. So you would see a lot of Bills that were just terrible. I mean, they were trying, but just absolutely terrible. Bills can't really hold chase. Similar to Jake, you will see them on gens, so that's nice, but they just weren't really the smartest. Although I do think the Bills have gotten a little better, he's still down there. He's not all that. Now, occasionally you'll run into like a decent Bill, but for the most part, they're garbage. All right, Adam. Adams, man. I mean, when have you ever seen an Adam take a hit for you? Ever. I don't know what it is about Adams. They're so scared. Every Adam I play with, all the random Adams are petrified. Like, they hide. They hide so much, which is weird because if you want to hide, why would you play a male character, right? Like, they're tall as fuck. I don't really get it. But, yeah, they're just not really that good. Typically, what you'll notice in the lower tiers is that these survivors are more often to do gens because they actually don't want to interact with the killer, and Adam is no exception. Won't take hits. I've seen a lot of Adams with urban evasion too, which I fucking hate. But yeah, that's just been my experience with Adam. This is not really that good. He's not that good. You know, I almost forgot, but I gotta put the rest of the Dead by Daylight characters, or some of them. Gotta put some of them here. It's not really their fault. You know, new characters, new players, so it makes sense that they're not going to be good. I don't think I really need to explain why. Although I do think, on average, Adas are a little better than most of the Resident Evil casts, so... yeah, but other than that, that's really it. They're not really that good. Although maybe within a year, they might, you know, like once people get into the game more and then they start getting better. But as of right now, yeah, Resident Evil characters ain't shit. Alright, so next up, I personally think these three, Adam, Tap, and Jeff, they're very similar. Well, maybe not so much Adam, but in terms of like, well, first of all, you never see any Taps, you don't see any Jeffs, you barely see them, and when you do, they're not really all that. Taps, I think, are a little better than Jeffs, maybe. I don't know, it's hard to say. I'd say they're about even. They're very similar. Like, you don't see them, and when you do see them, they're just not really that good. Oh my god, how could I forget? How the fuck could I forget this bitch? Bro, it's just a Jill skin, so you already know they're trash. I was tempted to put her in F tier, but I'm not gonna. What's her name again? Claire? I think her name is Claire. I don't know, I hate this bitch. I hate all the Resident Evil characters except for, like, I don't know, the Leons are good, but we'll get there. But yeah, she... just like Jill, although typically I do think Claire's are a little better than Jill's, mainly because they're a skin and they're not just getting into the game. So typically if you're buying skins, you know, you're probably a little more invested into the game than your default skin Jill. So yeah, but still absolute garbage. If you see a Claire on your team, be sure to run away as fast as you can. Alright, and for the last... damn, you know, I was hoping it wouldn't make like the second row, but whatever. So, in my experience with Jane's, I can't verify this, but I feel like the people that do play her is just because her ass is fat. That's really about it. They're not really that good. Yeah. When I see Jane's, I'm really not happy. And she's just so loud, and I feel like they get caught more often, and it's, you know, like, she's just too big. Like, she's trying to hide, and you can see her fucking dummy thick ass peeping out the corner when you're trying to hide. So, yeah, Jane's gonna have to go on the bottom. Aside from that, they'll do gens, but so does everyone else in the D tier. So, yeah, Jane's not that good. Alright, so now I'm gonna rearrange. I'm gonna rearrange D tier. Again, from right being the worst, left being the best, in that tier. So, God, I fucking hate Kate's. Alright, so everyone else... actually, yeah, you gotta go here too. Alright, so I think I'm gonna put Meg over here. I think Megs and Jills are similar in terms of their, you know, garbageness, but it's hard to say. No, I think I'm just really biased. I really don't like Jill, and no amount of skins is gonna change the fact that it's still Jill. So we'll put Meg over Jill just for the fact that I fucking hate Jill. Period. Actually, I should be a little more honest. Definitely Resident Evil characters gotta go in the back. In the back you go. Here we go. Yep, you guys are going right here. Again, it's not their fault. Like I said earlier, they're newer players. What are you gonna do? We'll put Jake. I think Jake's are a little better than Meg, so we'll put Jake here. Jane's in a good spot. I really feel like Ada's are the best out of all the newer players. Mainly because of Wiretap. I think Wiretap really helps them a lot, so I think she's in a good spot. These two are fine. Adam. Adam can go over here. I really don't like Adams, but not the worst. Definitely in the middle of D. I'd probably put Bills here. I've seen some decent Bills, although it's rare. I have seen some decent ones, so we're not going to put them all the way at the bottom. But I think that's a good spot. And yeah, I feel like these two are tied, so these two are interchangeable, honestly. But yeah, that's just the D tier. I think this is a pretty accurate D tier. If you disagree at all, you will be banned and possibly doxxed. God damn. I might buy this, though. Alright, moving along to the C tier. You know, I was really tempted to put Yui in the D tier, but she's definitely the bottom of C. Personally, I feel like old Yui mains suffered the most from the Dead Hard nerf, and now they're just absolute trash. I mean, they've always kind of been bad, but now they're just fucking terrible. Although I have seen some decent Yuis, that's why she's in C, not in D. But for the most part, they're really bad at chase. They do gens. Maybe I've seen like one Yui take a hit from me, and that was my fucking friend. So yeah, Yuis aren't that good. Alright, so next up we got Michaela. Now, Michaela mains suffer really hard from, I think, the boons. I think they waste way too much time putting boons. Like, every second really counts in Dead by Daylight, and if you're just too busy looking for a fucking totem every 2 seconds, like, what are you doing? Like, you're just wasting time. And then I've seen so many fucking Michaelas just, like, they'll put the boon right in front of the killer's face. Like, they'll spend, like, a whole minute looking for a totem, then they find it, then the killer's coming, they put the boon, they run away, and then they stomp on it. And you just wasted all that fucking time doing nothing. However, I feel like people outside of that, like, outside of those, like, heavy boon users, there are some okay Michaelas, although it's not super common, and, you know, I'd probably put her at the lower end of C. But yeah, they can't hold chase for shit, like, at all. Jesus. Alright, so next up, I feel kind of bad putting Leon here, but he does suffer from, you know, the Resident Evil shit, so again, you know, newer players coming in, they're like, oh my god, I love Leon, and they play him and they're garbage. But I have noticed that Leons that wear, there's this outfit that he has, and he has like this brown coat. I feel like those Leons are fucking elite. They're so good, like, every time. And I don't know what it is, but a lot of Leons bring Prove Thyself too, which is like fucking awesome. But unfortunately, I can't put him too high. Like I said, Resident Evil, so you know how it goes. I'd probably have to say the same with Chris, you know, just a skin, not really much of a difference. Although in my experience, Chris's bring Prove Thyself a little more often than Leon's, but other than that, they're pretty much the same. Alright, we gotta put Elodie up here. Elodies aren't terrible. I'd probably put her maybe in like middle high of C tier. I think. Yeah, I'd say it's about right. Middle high C tier. She mostly shines in chases, and I feel like part of it is because of her perks. So people that do use her will use her deception perk, and that fucks with the killer, and that's nice, you know, waste the killer's time, that's awesome. So, but they're not very altruistic, they're not going to take hits for you, And they kind of do gens, but they mostly they're in chase. Yunjin's pretty similar in that case. I feel like Yunjin's really shine in chase as well. That's probably their best thing. And they do gens a little more often than the Lodies, so we'll give them that. But on average, they're alright. They're just okay. So Hatties are kind of interesting. I've ran into a lot of shitty ones, but surprisingly, there are some, like, decent Hatties out there. Which is the only reason why I'm not putting her in D tier. I feel like I've come across, like, okay Hatties every now and then, so, like, more often than anyone else in the D tier, so she surprisingly isn't terrible. So I'd say she's somewhere in the middle. Alright, now you don't see a lot of Ashley's, but when you do, it's nothing special. Ashley's shine with doing gens, in my experience, they love to do gens. They are glued to gens, which is cool, because that's what you want. You want someone's got to do these fucking gens. Unfortunately, Ashley's don't really take chase too often, and they're not really good at it when they do. Not super unaltruistic, but not really that altruistic either. Yeah, that's about it. Jonah. Now, Jonah mains are like, I don't know, man. They're interesting, but similar to Ashley, they are glued to gens. Jonahs love doing gens. They don't really like taking chases. They play the game to get the fuck out, basically. They don't want any interaction with the killer, but they're glued to the gens, which I really appreciate that. Again, someone's got to do these gens. Alright, next up in the average tier, it's got to be David. I feel like Davids are actually, like, decent all around. I've seen Davids take chase pretty well. I've seen Davids on gens. Not really super altruistic, but they're not stupid. You know, I feel like Davids they're really just, like, all around okay. Yeah, that's really it, honestly. They're good. They're just okay in every category. So, he's probably, I mean, whatever, I'll just arrange this when it's done. But, yeah, he's alright. So, unfortunately, I gotta put Fang in C tier. I have run into some pretty good Fangs, like, really good. Like, they'll take chase, they know what they're doing. But Fang suffers from being one of the most picked characters in Dead by Daylight, so it makes sense for her to average out in C tier. Although, personally, I think she's probably the best in C tier, but she's really held back from her being the most picked, because I've seen some garbage Fangs, and every time I hear her fucking scream, it annoys me because that chase probably lasted like 20 seconds. But the really good ones are really good, so we'll give her that. Alright, and the final character in C tier, which I was kind of hesitant to put, but I would probably have to put Yoichi in C. Yoichi's kind of a hit or miss. I've seen some really good fucking Yoichis, like to take the hit kind of Yoichis, like they're coming in clutch Yoichis, like fuck. I've seen some really good Yoichis, but I've also seen some absolutely fucking terrible Yoichis. There's not really much to say about him. He really is a hit or miss. You either get a really good Yoichi or this Yoichi's fucking garbage. So because of that, he probably rounds out somewhere in C. Alright, I guess I'm gonna start arranging C. Now, Yui's definitely gotta go down here. We'll put Fang up here. We'll put Yoichi in the middle, because I'm confused as fuck. I don't know where the fuck to put him, because he really is just like a weird-ass character. So we'll just keep him there. He's in the middle. He's either really good or really bad. Elodie's in a good spot. Michaela, nah. Michaela's gotta go over here. Michaela's ain't all that. They waste too much time. They waste way too much time with the boons, and it's really annoying. David's are probably gonna go in the middle. Right in the middle. I thought it would be Yoichi, but then I remembered David is just all around okay. So go right smack in the middle. But yeah, I'd say this is about accurate in the C tier. Any questions will be ignored. Alright, moving on to the B tier. Now, surprisingly, for a character that you have right away, Dwights are good. They always bring Prove Thyself. Like 90% of the time you will see a Dwight with Prove Thyself, and they understand that these gens that need to get done. Now, they don't really shine in Chase. I don't really see a lot of Dwights doing super well in Chase, although they're not terrible. They're okay at Chase. I feel like it would be like okay at Chase, okay at Altruism, super good with gens. So, yeah, Dwight's actually okay, which is super surprising. Next up, similar to Dwight, despite being one of the first characters you get, Claudettes are fucking elite. Back in the day, her P3 outfit was really, really, really dark. So you had a lot of veterans playing Claudette specifically because it was so fucking hard to see her. This blendette motherfucker blending into everything. You stand right in front of the killer, you can't even fucking see Claudette. It's crazy. But yeah, Claudettes are kind of like the opposite of Dwights. You won't really see a lot of Claudettes on gens, but god damn, you will see them hold Chase for like 3 minutes. It's pretty impressive. The reason why I think that is like I said, a lot of veterans played her, and after the nerf, and there's no one else that really blends in, so I think they were just like, fuck it, I'm gonna just keep using Claudette. So you have a lot of like veterans that are still really good using Claudette, so that's why she's in the B tier. Alright, next up in the B tier, definitely gotta be Cheryl. And all of her skins, except this one. Fuck this skin. I'm not putting this shit up there. I don't even know who that is. I just saw her for the first time, and it's fucking September, and throughout this whole year, I only saw one of her. And that was like last week when I was playing, and she was garbage. So, I'm sorry, but if you main her, not only is there something wrong with you, but I'm not putting her up there, I'm sorry. But yeah, Cheryl's good. Cheryl's are good. I feel like, similar to David, their stats are very, what do you call it? Like, they're very, like, rounded out. I feel like she's just about good at everything. There's nothing that Cheryl mains really shine. There's no, like, specific stat where they're, like, really good. They do gens, they're good at chases. I'd say they're altruistic. I ran into some pretty altruistic Cheryls, but, yeah, just all around good. Not okay. Good. All around good stats. Alright, next up we got Felix. Now, Felix, I don't know what it is, but I feel like all the guy characters love doing gens. I don't know why, but yeah, Felix mains they're alright. No, they're good. They're good. I'm saying alright and I'm putting them in B. Like, what am I doing? But no, they're good. I've seen Felix mains take Chase pretty well, surprisingly. And they do gens too. But yeah, altruism, not too much, but definitely they do gens, they take Chase, that's pretty cool. Alright, and the final one for the B tier, it's gotta be Zarina. Zarina's whole chase, I love it, they're so good with chasing. And they bring 4 of the people usually too, which is awesome, super altruistic perk, really good, really fucking clutch. Zarina mains are smart. Although they're only setback is I don't really see Zarinas on gens, but they're definitely altruistic and they definitely hold Chase pretty well. So yeah, Zarina mains are up there. And now to rearrange this, I'd say Zarinas are at the top, and maybe Claudette is next to her. I do think Cheryl's are a little better than Dwight's on average, so we're gonna do that little swap. And yeah, I don't really see these skins, but they are Cheryl's skin. I guess they're interchangeable, I don't know. But yeah, this is a solid B tier. Alright, moving on to the motherfucking A tier. Now, these randoms are great to have. You see them in the lobby, you can't help but smile because you know, this is gonna be an alright game. Like, I know I'm not fucked. First up, my boy Steve, man. Fucking Steves. I don't know what it is with Steves, but they're fucking cracked. They're so good. They don't really do gens, although they're okay with gens, but where they really shine is with Chase, man. Like, and you would think, you know, typically when you want to get Chase, you'd pick a girl character because they're smaller and it's easier to get around. Steves don't give a fuck. They'll wear his Chips Ahoy fucking hat, making him extra taller. Like, they don't care about hiding. They want to get in your fucking face, and they literally, they're like, come, chase me. They do the gesture and everything. Like, Steves are fucking nuts. They're pretty altruistic, too. I've seen Steves like take hits, like, and the reason they take hits is because they're so obsessed with getting chased. They just love it. They'll literally like jump in front of a random and be like, bro, don't chase them, chase me. All right, next up on this list, definitely got to put Ace in there. Ace is interesting. Ace is kind of a hit or miss. The thing with Ace is that for the people that are really in the know, Ace is quiet as fuck. Like, he basically has like built-in iron will. It's so like you can't hear him. He fucking holds his breath. Like, bro literally makes like very little noise to no noise at all. So the people that do know that, the really good players, will play him. And when they do, they're fucking elite. Like, really fucking good. Especially with Chase. They're pretty altruistic too, and similar to Steve, they're okay with gens. But they mainly shine with their Chase. The only reason that they're kind of a hit or miss is that you either have an Ace that knows about how quiet he is, and they're playing him, and they're like similar to Claudette with the blending skin, with the P3 skin, the old P3. It's like you have to be in the know with these things, and like the Aces that are in the know are fucking elite. But there are some pretty shitty Aces, so I think it rounds out. But for the most part, the ones that are fucking insane boost him all the way to A tier. Aces are fucking awesome. All right, next up, we got we got my girl Lori. Now, Lori's are really good at chase. They love getting chased. Although they're not as good as like Steve's or Aces, they really enjoy getting chased. Now, unlike Steve and Ace, you are more often to find a Lori on the gen, which is pretty cool. But where they really shine is with the chase. They're okay with the altruism. They do gens, but like I said, it's the chasing. Loris love to get chased, and they hold it down pretty well. Oh, how did I forget you? You're going up there too. All right. And for the final pick for A tier. Now, I'm biased as fuck, right? No, I'm just kidding. Nancy's A tier. I love Nancy. I'm a Nancy main. I feel like Nancy's are very similar to Steve, except Nancy's aren't as focused as getting chased. I feel like Nancy's are super altruistic. Like, they love to take hits. Like, they just know when to run in to help, instead of just being the guy like, yo, chase me, chase me, chase me. Although they are good at chase. They're pretty smart. Nancy mains are really smart. Definitely not biased at all. Definitely. But yeah, Nancy mains are pretty good. Like I said, they do gens. They super altruistic. I feel like that's where they shine. They're just really altruistic, and they're pretty good at chase. So yeah, love you, Nancy mains. Be sure to comment below if you're a Nancy main. I'll probably heart the comment, maybe. All right, so now I'm gonna arrange A tier. I say Steve is definitely a number one, 100%. Nancy and Ace are, I would say they're interchangeable, but I really believe Aces are slightly better on average than Nancy's, so I feel like this is a good spot. Alright, so Jonathan, he's just a skin, but it's a Steve skin, and you know, Steve's already amazing, so you already know what the fuck's going on. You know, and you notice the pattern here, right? Like, Leon, Chris, bottom of D tier, Claire, Jill, and F tier. You know, like, the skins are next to each other. Cheryl and James and Lisa, they're all next to each other, so yeah. Jonathan, you don't see them, you barely see them, but they are Steve skins, so they're probably good. Yeah, and Lori being at the bottom of A tier is not bad. Remember, she's fucking great. She's just not as good as these four, in my opinion. Moving on to the S tier. Now, I really thought about this. And I'm pretty surprised with the results, especially when you consider how easy it is to get Nia. It's not that hard, but for some fucking reason, dude, Nias are not from this planet. They are absolutely fucking cracked. They are insane. Nia mains will fucking gesture. They will taunt the killer. Like, you would think that Nia knew the killers personally, because Nias just don't give a fuck. They are running and they're doing shit that you've never seen before. Nias will get every single flashlight save in the fucking world, and flashbang saves. Nias are fucking nuts. They take chase like it's nothing, bro. They do this shit like it's their 9-to-5 job, bro. Like, it's just like nothing to them. They are so good. Yeah, Nias are smart too. Nias will know not to 3-gen. Nias, they're pretty altruistic, but like I said, they really shine with just showing off. Nias just love to show off and chase. It's fucking insane. And by the way, I do put Nia at number 1. I think she's the best random survivor you could have. When I see Nias, I'm so happy. Except when they're default skins. If you see default skins, get the fuck out. But other than that, if you see a Nia in your lobby, stay. And for the final one, Quinton. My boy Quinton. Now, Quintons they're rare. They're very rare, and for good reason. Don't tarnish Quinton's name. Quintons are fucking elite. They will take chase like it's nothing. Very similar to Nia. Although I do feel like Quintons on average are more altruistic. I feel like that's where they shine. Very altruistic. Not as altruistic as Nia's. They know when to saddle the hook. They'll take a hit for you. They're really good with the gens. They're really good at chase. All around, he's just good. He's so good to have. When you see a Quinton on your team, don't leave. Stay for that shit, bro. Quintons are elite. So yeah, here it is. Here is the randoms tier list. I'd say it's pretty accurate. In my experience, I know some of you are going to disagree, and obviously you're going to get banned. But yeah, I'd say this is pretty good. This is a pretty good tier list. Can't believe I made this. You know, I've been thinking about doing this for a while. I finally fucking did it. But yeah, thanks for watching. I do plan on making another tier list, specifically for Dead by Daylight. If you're interested in that kind of shit and you like this list, be sure to subscribe, maybe leave a like, maybe leave a comment. Positive comment only, no mean comments, or you're gonna get fucking doxxed and kicked. I can't say that last part. But yeah, see you later. Just gonna awkwardly leave now.